Welcome. I am Dr. Patrice Berry, licensed clinical psychologist, and here I share legal news from a psychological perspective. This was a highly requested case, and I wanted to really just dig deeper into it. And the deeper I dove, the darker it got. And so here is my warning. And I'm not going to cover all of the specifics, and, I have a link to a full overview of this case if you want to dive really, really deep, because the whole thing is just really, really sad. And today, I want to hear from one of the survivors of this group and, what she did and the courage she had to make her statement at his sentencing was so when you hear the statement and how powerful it is, like, we'll dive deeper into that. I wanted to thank, I believe it was Lisa that was the one that asked for this. Once again, if this is not the topic for you for today, that is totally okay. There are trigger warnings for SA. He was found guilty of the R word, and he did revenge corn, corn with a P. He just and these are just the things that he was found guilty of. There are also other allegations, there are other things that he wasn't. Like, there are some question marks. This was the evidence that he was able these were the things that Georgia was able to prove, and so let's dive a little deeper. I did just want to share because his group. So this is Eligio Bishop. He also goes by Nature Boy. He also goes by some other things. He started a group, and the group I think had a few different names, but one of the last name it has is Carbon Nation. And the victim that we're going to hear a little bit later, the survivor, she's going to talk about not realizing that she had joined a sex cult and she would have never did that. And so yes, Lisa was the one that recommended this. It is this whole thing is very, very, very complex, and I won't be able to dive into everything. I do think the one person that spoke, I think she did a really good job just kind of summing up all that she experienced. And I think what she said is very similar to other people. So he was sentenced recently. The group had moved to different countries, especially tropical countries. He started out with this belief that Black people are gods and that they need to live close to the equator. And so he would rent Airbnbs that were close to the equator in these countries. And then as he gained more of a following, as things got bigger and bigger, his behavior started to get more and more erratic to the point of some of the followers alleging that they were unable to shower. So they were only able to bathe in natural waters. They were unable to use soap, like just restricting every little thing. People didn't have agency over their own body. And saying no to him was like saying no to God. He considers himself the second coming of Christ and just all of those other typical cult type leader things. And so, um, the group lived briefly in Hawaii during the shutdown, and he was arrested for breaking quarantine rules. And yes. But that's not what he was sentenced for in Georgia. So Hawaii was just there was a press release, talking about his arrest and all of that. Now let me pull up the video. So there were some words said in the statement that I had to mute, but, the word will play on the screen. You just won't hear it. Just for YouTube purposes, I had to mute a few things. Um, Once again, this testimony is very difficult to hear. If you need to step away, please do. I have about 14 minutes planned, but I'm going to pause it at times to talk. And I'm going to go back later and add some timestamps. So this we're going to start out with one of the survivors. So she's speaking at his sentencing, giving her victim impact statement. Let's listen to this. Uh-oh. Thank you, SL Conley, for letting me know there's no sound because I can hear it on my end. Y'all can't hear it on your end. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Let me see. So I am playing a tab. Um, and I might have to let me see. Let me stop sharing. Let me see. Let's stop sharing. Let's try this again. And hopefully this shares. I think I can't share the audio from here. Oh no. I'm going to have to upload it to StreamYard, which is fine. So just give me one moment to upload this here so that we can play it and hear the sound. I think it's too long to upload here. I This is technology, y'all. Why? I think if I go to Google, I should be able to upload. So just give me one moment um, to upload this here. Let me know if you know about this case and you have questions about it. Please let me know any questions that you all have. Because I wanna make sure that I'm answering your questions. So I think I can upload a video. Let me see. Go to my Google Drive. Let me go to my Google Drive and see if I can upload it here, and then hopefully that will work. Thank y'all for staying with me for these technical difficulties. Hi. And I'll go back and edit that on post so that they have that smooth transition. But all right, so let's upload a file. There we go. Open. Okay. So let me come back to see if there are questions as we're going. Yes, thank you. Grew up in Birmingham, Alabama during the 60s. Say similar thing. Oh, okay. Yeah. And I don't know why but this was just so he was about being close to nature. At one point, they were kicked out of some countries because they would defecate on the trees. He believed in giving back to nature, and that was so they were actually kicked out of some countries for that as well. And um, the whole thing is just very it's I was glad that somebody that this was recommended um because it gave me a chance to dive deeper into this. The statement of the individual is very, very strong. There are some words that are said that I wanna avoid, and so that's why I went and edited it, and I also turned the volume up. But now I know that I can't stream it from a different player with the audio, so we are learning as we go. Alright, and this is taking a second to upload, so hopefully I'll have this in just the next minute. It was very, very odd, behavior. Okay, and so, you mentioned that somebody has the testimony of and so he believed in polygamy, he had, a bunch of different wives. Um, alright. Video is still processing. Let's still download it. Let's see, let's see. Try again in a few minutes. Alright. Let's see. Will it open here? Please play. Okay. Because that's the one that opened in the other tab. Because I am trying to play it from here. Hopefully, this will work. Once again, like I said, I had to edit out some of the language in the video, and then also I worked to bring the audio up as well. And so let me see if I can now import this from my drive. Let's insert. Let's see, let's see. Let's see how this goes. Like, it's still uploading. I might end up having to play it. Oh, fine citizen. Oh, thank y'all. So I am thinking about let me know what cases y'all would like for me to cover. There was one really horrific one out of Oklahoma. No, it was Ohio, I believe, that I'm thinking about covering next Tuesday. And Lisa, I totally agree. He did everything on the cult leader checklist, changing their identities. So that's one of the things I haven't mentioned yet. He changed their names. He made them give up all of their belongings, including access to their finances. So he made the men and women give him access to their bank accounts and to their bank cards. And they were told that this access would then help be able to fund the group. Um, and that's how they were able to pay for things, and it's very, very, very troubling, very troubling. Um, all right. And so let's oh, so I am let's see, view as a presentation. Okay. I think I think I have it. I think I have a way to play it. So, I'm gonna try this. Y'all let me know if y'all can hear it. I think if I play it from here, and then I share my screen. For the past 2 years, I woke up in the morning relieved that it was just another nightmare and that I am not actually still in the cult of carbonation under the control of Eligio. When I left home in 2017, 5 days after my 24th birthday, to join carbonation, I was excited to pursue a lifestyle focused on growth and community. Bishop said we have to be the change we want to see in the world. We are the ones that are the creators of peace and harmony here on earth. And I believed him. At first, I felt empowered. I thought finally I found the answers to all of my life's questions. Finally, my prayers for a brighter future have been answered.
Never did I ever imagine the trauma I would go through in some of the most beautiful locations in the world. But now I know he used the natural beauty of those places to attract young people who weren't fully aware of their own beauty and potential so that he could exploit them. Under the guise of a spiritual journey, he inspired many of us to drop out of school, to stop pursuing our own passions, to cut off any ties to our identity, including our names, our family, and young children, and to trust only in what he provided for us. He knew exactly how to make every person he recruited feel special, like they had something great to contribute to the community. He love bombed us, especially the women, so that he could slowly gain our trust. He waited until I trusted him and had developed a friendship with the woman he was with to lure me in to his tent with him, saying we would just watch a movie while he schemed to take something that was so valuable to me only so he could use it to hang over my head every single day.
So, this individual that's speaking, she was a virgin when she went to the group, and he was aware of this. And she didn't like him like that, and, she did not want to be in a group relationship with, him, and, like, he she was not interested in him like that, and, over time and she said it beautifully, started with the love bombing, changing the name, isolating them from family and friends until eventually, um some things do happen, and so let's keep going. This testimony is very, very difficult. I did skip over a few parts are just, they are extremely painful, and so I have the full link down if you want to hear everything that everyone had to say.
He said my soul belonged to him, and there was absolutely no saying no to him. I was trapped psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, and physically, while Bishop went live regularly on social media to brag about his power and control over each and every one of us. He said he was God and we were his servants and slaves. As he continued to get more and more drunk off the attention and power, he saw himself as untouchable. No one was going to hold Bishop accountable, and so he would only drink bigger and more violent, while many of us under his control got sucked into the nightmare of his world. Slowly but surely, the lines became blurred, and he made changes to the rules and roles of everyone as he saw fit. Suddenly, we were bowing at his feet because he said it was for our own good. Then we were publicly shamed and humiliated as he made us relive our childhood traumas and traumatic memories, forcing us to talk about it on live streams for thousands of people to see.
So he had an Instagram following, and he would literally have them talk about their traumas for his followers. And it did get to the point where he would degrade them on those streams as well. And he would show the power he had over them by telling somebody to hit somebody else and they would do it, or telling them to, like, whatever he told them to do, they would do it.
Finally, he controlled all of the relationships for his own sexual deviance. I'll never forget after me and my husband had our child and he told us we couldn't be together. He made me move out of the room with my husband and child and into the room across from his against my will. And he told me because he broke my virginity that I belonged to him. I was his property and I had to have sex with him. He would walk in as I was getting dressed and talk about me sexually. At that time, I was married and a mother to a 2-year old, and he didn't care. He restricted me from seeing my husband and our child so that I could, what he called, focus on him. What meant that meant catering to his every need, whether that be helping him get dressed every morning, brushing his teeth, giving him massages, cooking his meals, doing sexual favors while he recorded video, and sending him nude photos of myself. What God wanted, we were required to give, no matter what. And we had to give it.
So that statement, what God wanted, we were required to give. And that's where most cults will have this religious component where God is the one that's supposedly telling the leader to do those things. And that can be extremely confusing for a spiritual person, for somebody that doesn't want to. offend the person they believe is God, or the like, because Eligio is pretty much saying, like, if you don't listen to me, you are going against God. And that's how he controlled his victims.
Give it with a smile, like we enjoyed it. I and so many other women there had no choice but to give up our own right to make decisions and disregard our authentic thoughts and feelings because he said that we didn't have our own mind and needed to replace our thoughts with his. There were
And some people will twist actual scriptures and to do that, or they'll put this where they might try to find an actual scripture and twist and manipulate it to their own will. The judge is going to see him for exactly who he is. For some reason, so this is on Fox 5. They chose to focus on him during this. I think everybody is on Zoom, because at one point on the original video, you actually see other faces. I don't know who those other people were, so I made sure to cut them out of this stream. And there will be a guy that speaks. I'm going to show parts of what he said as well, and the camera focuses on him, and then it goes to the judge. This was just so. At this point, Eligio, I believe he's probably been kicked out of the courtroom. His behavior at times, because he's going to make a statement that is. Ugh, but we are going to listen to the statement that he made at his sentencing as well.
consequences if we didn't listen and follow his instruction exactly. At first, we were just instructed to do squats and push ups, then it escalated to being isolated in the closet for days at a time and standing in the corner naked for at least 3 hours. And eventually, he would introduce extreme verbal and physical punishment. After all these people coming to join his life since becoming Nature Boy, and though none of us were forced to come, every single one of us was deceptively recruited. We trusted him.
And that's where she says every one of us was deceptively recruited. So everybody coming there, they were going to join a safe community. Like, he didn't say, like, come here to be physically, mentally, emotionally, like, that's never how it starts. And yet over time, that's what some of these groups can turn into. And the reason why I keep talking about high control, high demand, or cult-like behavior is because we're seeing a rise with things online. We're seeing a rise in this kind of behavior. Even where these communities, people start them maybe with some good intentions, but then they realize, oh, wait a minute, we can manipulate, control, dominate, like, because all of this was about him. It wasn't actually about those members. And to this day, he is not going to admit that he caused any harm. He is not going to admit to anything. And there are some people that still follow him, similar to Warren Jeffs from the fundamentalist, from that fundamentalist section of LDS, FDLS, FLDS, yes, from that group. There are people that still think that, he's a prophet, and that God speaks to him despite all him being convicted of crimes against children and all of those other things.
Him and thought he had our best interests, and he knew this. No one volunteered to be taken advantage of emotionally, financially, physically, spiritually, or psychologically. I would have never joined Carb Nation in 2017 if I knew that in 2020 Bishop would order other women. I would have never joined if I
So I cut out the part, he ordered other women to physically harm her, and he would order her to physically harm the other women too. And that's where, when Lisa was talking about that they had to police each other, but he also, like, he wasn't always the one doing the harm. He would get other people to do it for him as well. And if that person refused to do it, they would be like, and most people didn't refuse his request. And if you tried to leave, so that's what happened in one case. A woman tried to leave or did, like, said she wanted to leave the group, and she was R-word, and then videos of them being intimate were then put on Twitter and on other social media, and, so that's what he was actually charged with and convicted of.
I knew that he would eventually separate other men from the women so that he could force every woman. Or if I knew that he would have the final say on every aspect of our lives, from food to clothes to where we could go or sleep, or if we could take a walk or if we could leave the group, we would need permission, and that we wouldn't be able to go anywhere by ourselves. I never would have joined if I knew that. I would live in fear every day, not knowing who he would hurt that day, who he would order us to hurt, or if I would be hurt that day. All it took was for someone to have what he would call an attitude, or for them to slight for the
And that's the other part too. So, he's the one that's the judge, the jury, like, he's the one that decides what's appropriate behavior and what's not, almost treating them like children, like, he's the one. So, if he thought somebody had an attitude, then that would deserve his punishment, and it's my understanding things would get extreme to the point of, hitting people of, like, with using belts and, really causing harm, and some people, their injuries being so bad that they were kind of kept off the lives or they were kept out of sight, so other people didn't see it.
the past 2 years,
Oh,
I
sorry.
woke up in the morning.
It went backwards. I think we were here. There we go.
Always seemed to be another excuse to why we needed that he
To be
called
harmed.
discipline. He told us that we were doing it to ourselves, and if we ever questioned him, he made sure that we would never think to do that again. And he made an example out of us. Sometimes he would remind us all of the good times we spent together, all the beautiful places we saw, like the waterfalls in Mexico and the beaches in Puerto Rico, all of the music we made and the celebrations and dances we had. He often guilt tripped us, even while he's been in jail. He's tried to intimidate us. For years, he gaslit us into thinking maybe he wasn't that.
I wanna pause it there. For years, he gaslit us into thinking that maybe he wasn't that bad. And what I hear in her voice is just the pain of, because sometimes there can be some shame that a person feels after coming out of a situation like this, but these situations, individuals like him are incredibly hard to leave. And I am going to share, because SL Conley talked about the bite model of authoritarian control. I do think it's important for us to talk about it, and after I did add that to today's list of what we're going to talk about.
Maybe this wasn't so bad. It took months for me to stop blaming myself. The support from those in my life that truly love me, I was able to finally stop protecting my abuser and speak up about what happened to me and so many other young people. It's a shame even young children were involved as well, and not everyone made it out safely and alive.
There are allegations that there might be some missing people that might be, so there it's just allegations, nobody knows for sure. There are some missing people where people don't know where they are, where they're not sure if they might be tied to this group or not.
I never willingly joined a destructive sex cult, but in the end, I learned that that is exactly what it was.
So once again, she said she would have never willingly joined this type of group, and yet that's exactly what happened to her.
I, like so many others, wanted to make a positive impact in the world, not to be hurt and used and exploited by Eligio Bishop. So many people have prayed for this day where justice is finally being served. And I thank everyone who heard us and who saw us and who fought for our freedom.
Thank you so much. All right.
Yes, sir, I do.
All right. You put your hand.
All right, so I'm gonna come back to the chat. It was so, so tough, and anyone who needs to know the end now, the judge is gonna give make some very, very pointed statements to him, and to me, the judge was 100% on point, and, so this guy's gonna speak, and then, Eligio, ugh, and I wanted to, because I debated including his statement or not, but I think it's important to see just how he works and the tactics and things that he uses, and so that's why I included it.
Yes, sir. My name is Aaron Dixon. I'm just going to be brief. I don't think that anybody in the world has led a perfect life, a life that doesn't have mistakes, a life that doesn't have shortcomings. But the difference, the distinct difference about Mr. Bishop is that even in this moment, as he sits in a very serious position, he's in disbelief as if he's done nothing wrong. And the danger behind that is that in order to change your behavior, you have to first acknowledge that a change needs to be made. Mr. Bishop has an inability to see his own shortcomings, which means he will never change, which means he should never be in the vicinity of a normal functioning human being. I personally believe that all mistakes are forgivable if a person has the courage to admit that they even made a mistake. And I will say, Judge, I've met some unique people in my life, but this is the very first time that I believe that I've ever met a psychopath in real time. And that's all I got to say.
Alright, and so he said a lot very quickly that, yes, no one is perfect, and Mr. Bishop continues to not see anything wrong with his behavior, and that's a major red flag. He would likely do everything he did again. So that's what happened. Anytime he was he was, like, reprimanded for his behavior. So in Hawaii, it's my understanding there are some endangered turtles, or there are some special turtles where it's illegal to touch them, and it's my understanding that he was like, rules don't apply to him, and he would go and touch the turtles. Like, the countries tried to say, "Please, like, use the toilets, like, don't defecate on the trees." And he's like, "Nope, God told me." Like, it's almost like he thinks laws and rules don't apply to him. And to me, some of his stuff is worse than even what we saw from Daryl Brooks. Um, because like, because with this, he just kept doing the same things over and over and over again. Yes. Yes. And there, I think there are videos of him touching those turtles that you're not supposed to touch. I covered Darvo as well. On which video was that? Oh, it was on a recent video, and, it was the one about the Bachelor accuser. I covered Darvo there. Today, we're gonna cover Bite, once we make it through. So next, I apologize, Eligio's gonna talk. It's gonna be real brief. The judge is gonna cut it off, but I think seeing his behavior is important so we can talk about it.
Bird, come on up to if you do, come on up to the podium. And we'll swear you in.
Raise your right hand.
Do you swear to test the testimony God gives you the truth?
For sure. At all times.
All right, what is it you'd like me to consider?
I just want to say something to all of them.
So the statement he's gonna say, I don't think this was for the judge. I think this was for his followers. Like, he's still trying because they limit his communication because they don't want there's still people that follow him that would do exactly what he says. Some of the people that have spoken out about him or like against him, they've received all types of, threats and things. And so I'll play it.
I
Well,
just want to
just
state,
no,
I,
just direct it to me, please, not to.
I'll direct it to you. I'll direct it to you.
Okay.
Are you happy? Are you happy?
I'm not answering any questions of yours, Mr.
I forgive you. I forgive you, and I still love you. I forgive you, and I still love you. I got nothing in my heart. I'm not mad at you. I'm not upset with you. I forgive you. I want you to know I still love you and forgive you. And kiss my baby girl and let her know I love her. And I love y'all. I would never, I don't have no, I promise you, you know how I am. In my heart, you know how I am. I still love you. I still fuck with you. I still love you.
All right,
I still,
I got
and
that.
no hate,
Okay.
no hate.
Is there anything
My
else?
heart light as a feather. I promise you, I love you and I'm still here. I ain't miss one lick. I see what y'all doing, and I want you to know I forgive you. And I see y'all in the end.
All right, thank you.
I love you. I love you.
All right, I just muted the courtroom. We're done with that. All right, what is the recommendation?
Y'all, y'all. And to me, he didn't even try. So he's the one that should have talked about remorse or feeling bad about what he did but instead, it's still about him forgiving them for speaking out against he, they didn't do anything wrong. Like they did exactly what they're supposed to do. Like, and so, like, he's going out still love bombing, still gaslighting, still just ugh, ugh. Like it was ill. And so at least I'm telling you, I debated so hard showing it or not, but I thought it was important because he is a charismatic person. He is a person that people liked, people were drawn to. And you can kind of see it there why people might have unknowingly been deceived by some of the things that he said, some of the things that he did. Because sometimes we have this image of what a quote unquote monster looks like. And I'm not because monster, that's not a, but if we're kind of somebody that would do this type of thing to other people, and there are also allegations that things happen to children as well. There were weird things. So a part of the group was like to embrace the human body and be nude and everything. One of the allegations, and so trigger warning for child, just possible grooming, weird stuff with kids. um One of the allegations is that after being intimate with a woman, that sometimes he would let one of his like a child, like p play with like touch him down there, and that's not okay. Like, that is harm to that child. And, ugh, um, ugh. All right. So let's get to the judge. I skipped over the prosecution and the defense talking about what they think he should get, and we're going to get straight to the judge.
I would have been inclined to exercise some discretion had Mr. Bishop shown any remorse, guilt, or regret throughout this process. And I saw nothing during the trial but for him laughing and cutting up and looking shocked and surprised at all of the testimony. I mean, Mr. Bishop, you're a master manipulator, and probably the classic definition of a narcissist, like that I've ever seen. You took advantage of these folks who are essentially lost souls, looking for some guidance, looking for some connection, or looking for some comfort. And you were able to fill a void for them for some reason. But in the process, you completely took advantage of them and have caused potentially, I hope not, but potentially irreparable harm. I hope that all of the victims will be able at some point in time to recover from this and to find some type of peace in their lives. And maybe the verdict will help in that regard. But I hope you all are able to move on at some point and find some peace, whatever that is for you. So with that, I am going to follow the recommendation of the state in this case. He'll be sentenced to life without the possibility of parole, followed by 10 years consecutive for the false imprisonment. And on the internet porn, 12 months to serve, concurrent to the false. So it's 12 months on count 3, 5 years on count 4, and 5 years on count 5. All of that will run concurrent to the false imprisonment, but the false imprisonment is consecutive. So it's life without parole plus 10 years.
And the state also made sure that he can have no contact with the victims. And then also, just in case any of the laws change down the road for the crimes that he's been convicted of, making sure that there would be protections for the public because of his past behavior. All right. And so this right here is the BITE model of authoritarian control. And thank you so much, S.L. Conley, for bringing this one up. Many people think mind control is an ambiguous, mystical process that is difficult to define, but mind control refers to a specific set of methods and techniques, such as hypnosis, thought stopping, blah, 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 blah. But um, individuals that try to control people, they start with behavioral control, dictate how, where, when, like people can do things, with whom, that what they can eat. And I think he did that as well. It sounds like there was like they were told what they could eat, when they could eat. There's often sleep deprivation. There's often a lot of physical harm. There's information control, where there's deception, where they are the true authority and everybody else is lying. Everybody else is against them. Everybody else is wrong. They are the true and sole person who knows truth, but what they're actually sharing is lies. Thought control, requiring members to internalize the group's doctrine as truth, where they cannot question it at all, where the leader's the one that defines what's good and what's evil. They often instill black and white thinking, and have where they have to take on the thoughts and ideas of the leader. And that's where often these types of leaders do have narcissistic traits. Somebody agreed with like the psychopathic type. And I think the psychopath part was where he didn't care what other people thought. And he was okay with like breaking rules, norms. To me, what stood out more was that the I am God, I am everyone, I am all knowing, all like, you know, like that they needed his forgiveness for some reason. And he's the one being sentenced for crimes and going to be in jail for the rest of his life. And so to me, it really screamed more. And this is just my general thoughts. I can't diagnose him. The judge was the one that threw out. He was likely like the classic definition of what a narcissist is. And I can't disagree. uh Emotional control, manipulating, and like what's okay and not okay to express emotion wise. They often block feelings of wanting to go back home or missing family, often angered. While the leader is able to freely express anger, often the members are not able to express anger or discontent with like anything the leader does or says. And so thank you so much, Phoenix. Sorry, not Phoenix. It was S.L. Conley. Thank you so much for mentioning that one. I also wanted to share, and I have this resource linked down below. It's called Dare to Doubt. Detaching from harmful belief systems. And so within cults or high control or high demand groups, and they have that bite model listed here. Nice. Awesome. And so they have information for if somebody wonders, like, hey, am I in a cult or am I not? And there are some red flags where it's like, um, if I have to adopt this false identity, like if this person is the one telling me who I am, and I'm being encouraged to not believe myself, to not have my own intuition, to not have my own thoughts, that everything has to be about the leader and the group. And so a constructive or healthy group, you have an authentic self, you have unconditional love, you have a conscience, like you have an emotional center, like you're able to decide what's right and wrong for yourself. Creativity and humor, free will, critical thinking, psychologically healthy, knowing your own limits, empowering individuals. They're trustworthy, accountable. There are checks and balances. There's informed consent. There's individuality and diversity. There is they encourage growth, and you are free to leave. Like that is one of the biggest. Like if you can't freely leave, mm, like you that's and then on the destructive or unhealthy end, you have this false cult identity where often they do like rename. There's conditional love, like I love you if you're doing what I say. I love you if you're in line with all of this. um there is fear, guilt, dependency, and obedience. Often narcissistic, psychopathic type traits, elitist, and grandiose leaders. The leader is often power hungry. They're often secretive and deceptive, and they often claim they are the absolute authority. There is nobody else that can tell them what to do besides like whoever they are calling God, but like that can create issues for me personally. There's this authoritarian structure versus having checks and balances on the healthy side. There's deception and manipulation. People are just clones. And I heard recently where somebody said cults or high demand groups, they don't want people that are naive. They don't want people that are like, they want people that are intelligent. They want people that are successful. But what they do is they break the person down to where they then fall in line with the group. And that causes all kinds of problems. And so they have recovery resources here. They have resources for recovering from spiritual harm, because when this is done in the name of God, it causes additional harm. And we've talked about spiritual harm on some other streams as well. And then they have some books and resources and media. And so, like I said, I have this one linked down in the description. Um, this is the last thing I wanted to share. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to come back to the chat in just a second. So one side has red flags, the other side has what recovery looks like. And so you go from deception to truth. So with deception, nobody seeks to join a cult. They join a church, a campaign, a meditation group, a professional organization. Cults lie. Falsehoods fuel the machine. Without deception, cults aren't possible. No one seeks to join a cult. So that's where the truth is. When something feels wrong, something often is wrong. Emotional truth, um, countered. So, like, because you need to be able to have your truth to combat the gaslighting that will happen if it is an unsafe group. There's secrecy, since falsehoods fuel cults. Secrecy lubricates the engine. Schools, falsehoods kick off with "Don't tell anyone. This is private. This is just for you." The word private sounded exclusive, while secret sounds like, So they often talk about this is private. This is just for our group. This is just for people that pay to, I don't know, like that's, so transparency with truth. So truth countering deceit. So being able to be transparent. So with red flags, if there's silence. So within cults, you can't tell anyone. You have to stay silent. You have to obey. Within a healthy recovery, you have a voice. You find your voice and you're able to speak. And that's why I really wanted to share that one survivor's statement. I could just hear the work that she's done. I think I cut off. There was a point. I might have kept it. I don't remember, but there was one point where she talks about fearing that he talked about the fact that he chooses who lives and who doesn't, and that, like, that people don't care what happens to Black women, that he would say things like that, that would instill this fear and isolation, and just like, okay, where the person is just trying to survive this unsafe situation. And so there's institutionalized lying versus your personal narrative. There's isolation versus true community. So he talked about building community, but really he was building his own like secret group that didn't really interact and engage with the rest of the world, because the rest of the world was like bad and I don't know, whatever. And with recovery and healing, you reclaim your identity and your life, which is a long road and it's really, really difficult to do, but it is possible. And so, um, so I think if people can't leave their group, or if they can't leave their church, or so I talk a lot about the faith community that I'm a part of, and my pastor says, my job isn't to tell you what to think, it's to encourage you to think. So people can have different ideas, different thoughts, different beliefs. I have seen other ministries where that wasn't encouraged, where you couldn't do that. People are able to, I've seen some churches where like there is like $100 giving line, like a $20 giving line, where like people are kind of shamed for like how much are they giving. There was a pastor, the bling bling pastor. Do y'all know who I'm talking about? So there was a pastor in New York. I'm gonna have to share that one. The bling bling pastor. Uh because he was supposedly robbed like during a live stream, but he was just convicted of fraud and extortion. And so let me share my screen real quick. Um, all right. And uh, so a parishioner wanted to invest their money and ended up giving him $90,000 that he reportedly used to buy luxury goods. And the person is like completely lost all of their money. And the jury found that he misused like the trust placed in him by his parishioner, and that he bullied a businessman for $5,000 and tried to defraud him out of more money than that. And so I definitely definitely happens. It definitely happens. Yes, 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 yes. And so and with online stuff, because I also just recently heard, let me see if I can find that one. There was Crypto pastor scam. I Let me see if I can find it. Yes, this is him. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen again. This Denver pastor, like he did this cryptocurrency scam and he said that God told him to do it. I can't with people. I just can't. And so, um, Denver crypto pastor touted his currency at Zambian church conference instead of attending his court hearing. So he's accused of stealing $1.3 million of parishioners and other investments for his own use. And it's my understanding that he has yeah, that there, I forget if he's the one of the, it was either the bling bling pastor or him. I don't remember which one. Um, One of them had, a criminal past. I'm not sure if he did. Their church was 100% online, and he said God told him to. So you just have to be careful. So any group that what the pastor says, like, that's the end, and you're not able to think, you're not able to say if that agrees with you or not. So I believe that there's a faith that heals and there's a faith that hurts. A faith that heals and a faith that hurts. And a faith that hurts is where, like, the person is being financially used. So there are um individuals who claim to be spiritual that have harmed children, that have harmed other people. I watched one, I think it was the Hillsong documentary that was talking about a lot of the alleged harm that came out of like the Hillsong group. And there was one guy who told his mom, and he was like, when he was a kid, he told his mom what the pastor had done to him, and his mother said, don't speak, like, don't ruin his ministry. Don't, like the mother put the pastor above her child, which really just does so much harm to children. And so yes, MLMs. So I've been in a few MLMs. I used to sell Cutco cutlery. I used to sell, I still have my starter set one summer. But, I loved those knives, and it was the amount of, like, passion I had for those was a bit strange. I still think it's one of the best ones, but I've been bitten by but, like, I don't sell them. I don't there are other cutlery that are just fine, but, like, they tell you how to, like, sell them and how to market them, and they realize that they could sell more by, like, having college kids sell them than having, like, other people do it. And so Costco, Amazon gets me all the time. Like, there's, like, all kinds of things. And so, oy. All right. They suck you in with unrealistic expectations. Exactly. Exactly. Thank you all again for recommending this topic. It was hard. And anytime I cover something that's this heavy, I always want to share where's the hope? Where's the recovery? Where's the healing? So I don't want it all to be just triggering. So I always want to make sure that we cover like how individuals that have experienced this type of thing, that there is help, there is support. I do always put resources in every single video. And if I had experienced something like that, I would ask, if I was looking for a therapist, I would ask them, you know, how do you treat people that have experienced spiritual harm? And it's like, yes. What's your approach? Do you have a spiritual background? Like, do you have spiritual beliefs? Because some people, um, so I'm okay. So the beliefs I have, I work with people that have very different beliefs than I do, and I'm respectful of their beliefs, and my beliefs don't come into the session. So if I'm working with someone who is Muslim, so right now we're in Ramadan, and I didn't realize, so I learned last year that they weren't that when a person is fasting, that they don't eat or drink at all. Because they let me know that they were fasting. I was like, "Oh, would you like some water?" And they're like, "Oh no, like it's water too." I was like, "Oh, I learned something new." And because there are different levels of fasting, there are different things, but different cultures, different religions do some of that differently. And I work with people that are Wiccan, that are all kinds of different things. And that's where one of the funniest things that happened is one client was like, I just can't stand Christians. I just don't like Christians." And I was like, um, I'm very liberal, but like, I kind of, and it was a nice moment for us to get to talk and talk about, like why they kind of what assumptions they had made, and we were able to talk and work through it. And 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 so that's where, if people are looking for like Christian counseling, that's where I'm like, so, what exactly are you looking for? Because if it's a family that has a child that is a part of the LGBTQ community, and if you come to me, I am an affirming therapist. I am going to support your child, and so and I'm glad in Virginia made conversion therapy with kids under the age of 18 illegal because it is harmful. It literally does harm. And so, I'm glad my state at least did that. But if people are looking for, like a certain type of therapy, like, so I don't market myself as a Christian therapist because I'm a psychologist that just so happens to like watch church on Sunday. Like that's just like those are my things. And so, um, have I heard about Bahia? Is that how I say it? Faith? Oh, wow. Our fast coincided with the Muslim fast this year. That's super cool. So I have not. I love learning new things. I love hearing new things. And so thank you for sharing that with me. And so, oh yes. Oh, so this is the one I'm thinking about covering on Tuesday. So I do believe I am going to cover this one on Tuesday. She was just sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. This is the woman in Ohio that left for 10 days and left her 18-month-old at home. And so that's going to be the Tuesday case. So next week, Tuesday, 6 p.m. should be 6 p.m. Yes, I believe. That'll be the case that I'll be covering to talk about. So the family tried to make it about mental health, and we're gonna talk about it. Y'all can probably guess what my thoughts are. I don't think. I could be wrong. And I don't know the person. I'm just giving my general thoughts and education, but that's definitely one for us to talk about. Yes. Oh, and I'm thankful that I've had mostly positive experiences. I did have to undo some of like the purity culture stuff, and I've worked with clients that had to undo some of those thoughts, some of those things, and so that's like a whole other conversation. But um, I'm glad that we were able to chat. Imma go feed my kid. It's his dinner time. So, I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. Just a reminder, this Saturday, I'm not gonna be going live at the normal time. I will be at a conference, and I might do a pop-up or a short or something. We will see. We'll see what happens, or I might just be in the moment and just enjoy the conference and talk about it with y'all when I come back. So we will see. But I hope y'all enjoy the rest of your day.